Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Naoya Inoue makes another defence of his undisputed super bantamweight titles, or title if you prefer, as one. And this will be against Ye Joon Kim of South Korea, 32 years of age, orthodox fighter. And this is on Friday. All right, it's over in Tokyo, I think. No, it might not be in Tokyo. Well, it's in Japan. I might have it wrong saying it's in Tokyo. But anyway, the point is it's on Friday. And because of the time difference, this will probably be UK time, midday Friday. All right, so I don't know who's showing it. Maybe DAZN is showing it. But you need to catch it, you know. If you're home, of course. I'll be at work, but such is life. Work always getting in the way of the real world. But there we are. So, you don't need me to tell you about Inoue. He is a modern great. There are still people who are so pretentious, so desperate for attention, so embarrassingly ignorant that they will claim that Inoue is a hype job, or he's, I don't know. They're just a bunch of... Look, as I've said before, you've got 7 billion people in the world. You're going to have a couple of 100 million pricks, aren't you? It's probably more than a couple of 100 million, the way the modern world suggests, anyway. But Naoya Inoue is a modern great. He is probably the greatest Japanese fighter ever. Fighting Harada was great, no doubt about it. But Inoue may have already gone beyond fighting Harada's achievements. He is a 4-division titleist, has become undisputed in 2 divisions, bantamweight and super bantamweight. He's an absolute killer. He's thrilling to watch. What else do I need to tell you? Not a great deal, really. Knocks everyone out. Orthodox fighter, 31 years of age now. And if you look at his last few fights, the TJ Donahue fight was a bit anticlimactic because it was stopped very, very early in the 7th round. Some sort of injury, I think. But prior to that, Lewis Neary, he had a shootout with Lewis Neary. He got floored in the 1st round. Repaid the compliment and knocked Neary out in the 6th round. Prior to that, Marlon Tapales, that was the undisputed title shot. Knocked him out in 10. Prior to that, his debut at Super Bantam was against Stephen Fulton, which was for 2 of the belts, WBC and WBO. And in fact, he became undisputed champion in 2 weight divisions within the space of 1 year. So an enormously talented, great fighter, Inoue. And Japanese boxing, as I keep saying, is absolutely on fire at the moment. Absolutely on fire. Now, Inoue was supposed to fight Sam Goodman, and that fight was cancelled twice because of an eye injury to Goodman. So in steps, with only 3 weeks' notice, the 32-year-old South Korean Ye Joon Kim, 21 wins with 13 KOs, 2 defeats, both on points, and 2 draws. Now, he's got quite an interesting backstory because he was orphaned. And there are similarities between Kim and the wildly exciting great light heavyweight from the 70s and early 80s, Matthew Saad Muhammad, or Matthew Franklin, as he was born. Franklin was an orphan. He was actually left deserted and abandoned, is the word, I suppose, by his brother when he was a very small child. Ended up in orphanages and went on to become light heavyweight champ. And if you've never seen Saad Muhammad fight, he is basically a light heavyweight Arturo Gatti. You know, incredibly exciting fights he was in, a string of them. A total come from behind warrior who, when you thought he was about to be knocked flat, came back and won fights. It was stunning to watch, absolutely stunning to watch. Now, Mr. Ye Joon Kim cannot claim to have a similar talent or a similar excitement to Saad Muhammad, but neither does anyone else. And this guy's nickname is, he's got 2 nicknames. One is Troublemaker, the other is Packy Weather, mixture of Pacquiao and Mayweather, obviously. Bit clumsy, that one. I think we'll stick with Troublemaker. And he is an exciting fighter to watch. I haven't seen a great deal about him, but there's stuff on YouTube. And even though he doesn't have one-punch power, he throws, like a lot of the smaller guys, he throws an avalanche of punches. To the head, he will fire punches that will not necessarily, even though they're relatively hard, he's got decent power. Where he really excels power-wise is to the body. He does throw a nice uppercut as well, but body work, if you look at what the little I've seen, with both hands is really, really good. And this makes this fight slightly curious because, of course, he is a massive outsider to beat Inoue. It will be stunning if he does beat Inoue. But if I was him, I'd be looking for that body from the word go. Now, he is, I think he's, unless I'm mistaken, he's a career super bantam, I believe. He's never fought for a world title before. He's won a couple of like the Asia Pacific titles. But rather disturbingly, 3 fights ago, he lost a majority decision in America to a guy who had lost his previous 2 fights, a guy by the name of Rob Diesel, I think is how you pronounce it. And this guy had a 14 wins and 9 defeats record. And Kim lost to him a majority decision. That was only 3 fights ago. He since came back with a couple of KOs over modest opposition. But yeah, it doesn't bode well, does it? I mean, you can be upset. You can have a bad day at the office. His only other defeat was in his second pro fight against another undefeated fighter where he lost a unanimous 4-round decision. And his 2 draws are very early on as well against, again, modest opposition. But we're going back, over 10 years. I mean, he turned pro in 2012, so 14 and a bit years ago. But yeah, he looks good. He looks like a good fighter. But of course, with Inoue, we're talking a great fighter, a truly great fighter. And one of those talents where you think, I'm so lucky to be watching this guy following his career from, virtually start to finish. It's another one to add to your memory banks. So how does this fight go? Well, they're both orthodox fighters. I do not think Mr. Ye Joon Kim will be intimidated. I think he'll probably meet Inoue, try to meet him in the ring. Inoue is a very, very aggressive fighter, but he uses his feet brilliantly as well. He's got very, very good footwork, and he can give you angles and move out, control the range beautifully. As with all the smaller guys, lots and lots of punches being thrown. Inoue extremely heavy-handed with both hands to the body and the head. Knocked out Paul Butler, I think, with a punch to the body. That's not the only one. He's had others on the floor with body punches. But I think Mr. Ye Joon Kim will, again, I don't know a great deal about him. I haven't seen him fight that much, but I think he will see this as his lottery ticket. I mean, if he scores an upset over Inoue, I mean, this has got to be one of the biggest upsets of the century, certainly. Bear in mind, we're a quarter of the way through the century already. It was kind of yesterday, it was the year 2000. But if you're my age, that's the way it goes. But this would be a colossal upset. But I do think he'll go for it. And I do think he'll be looking to swap punches with Inoue. I see this as being a shootout. But the thing is, I don't think Kim can box at all with Inoue. He'll just get his head taken off. So he's got to come forward. He's got to let his hands go. He's got to work the body because he hits hard to the body. He's got to, even if he can't get to the body, you hit the elbows, the forearms, the biceps. Just pour it on, leave it all in the ring. So the following day, even if you lose, you can say, you know what, I gave it a fucking good go. And I'm proud of myself. I wanted to win. If he loses, I wanted to win, but I couldn't have done much more. Don't forget, he only had 3 weeks' notice. I don't know whether he was in training for another fight. Inoue obviously was. But if this guy, if he can, I mean, certainly if he goes the distance and if he gives Inoue plenty to think about, or let's say for example he floored him or something like that. It can happen. I mean, Donahue took Inoue into the 7th. Neary had him on the floor, went into the 6th. I mean, Butler just ran and ran and ran. I mean, it was one of the most embarrassing performances I've seen by a British fighter in a long, long time. Terrible performance by Butler. But someone like Tapales, he gave Inoue something to think about. for quite a few rounds, even though he got knocked out in the 10th. That was kind of out of the blue, that knockout as well. So I don't think Kim will last into the later rounds. But if he has a proper old barn burner, a proper old shootout with Inoue, I think he will lose. But I think he can at least say, I fought him. I tried to win this fight. And I think he'll do that. I don't think he'll be blinded by the lights, or he certainly won't roll over. But I don't think he'll be intimidated. I think he'll give it a good go. But I only see one winner. And that's the skill, the precision, the heavy-handedness, the ring IQ, all of the above and more of Naoya Inoue. I think he will chop down Ye Joon Kim in about 6 rounds. 4, 5, 6, that sort of time. I'll say 6 rounds. So what do you think? Have you seen more than I have of Ye Joon Kim? I'll be surprised if you have, because I watch a ton of boxing and I've only seen drips and drabs of this guy. But let me know. Let me know. Comments below. Who do you think is going to win and why? Of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and please hit the like button if you don't mind, because you're helping the channel out a great deal. I always look forward to reading your comments. I say that all the time, but it happens to be true. So make them. Comments below. Thank you very much, as always, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.